So, Bob, pension day has arrived at long last. No more work. How on earth are you going to cope with life from today onwards?
Not a clue, really. I'm already into relax mode, but relax mode for me is doing stuff. So, in for a swim in the bay before dawn and things like that are kind of fairly standard. Or exercises on the roof terrace, all that kind of stuff. And then wandering off into the middle of nowhere to explore and hopefully be able to drag the wife out somewhere if I can get her out of a wheelchair or whatever she's in at this stage of the game, having stressed out over these years.
Every vicar I've ever met always has a story of some event that's happened during their ministry. So what's the one story that's lived in your memory?
So many things. I suppose the one that had the most impact at the time was when I did a TV broadcast for Forethought TV. And that was while I was team rector of the team, and the team knew that I was chair of the Christian Naturist Fellowship. But I was interviewed as chair of the Christian Naturist Fellowship on Forethought TV to chat in front of the camera naked. Now, once that got into the public domain, the phone didn't stop ringing for quite a while. I was first made aware we were out for a meal in a restaurant somewhere, and the phone rang. Hello, this is the Daily Mail. What? And then it was a whole series of different national newspapers, local newspapers, cameramen coming around wanting photographs, and it was all a bit crazy. But the folk in the congregation were wonderful. I remember after it was broadcast, and shall we say they didn't pixelate the screen. So I was doing my first children's, all age service, and there'd be about 80 families and young children in the church, and a load of kind of late primary school girls all sat on the front row, all saying, "We saw you on TV the other day." Which was, yeah, I coped. It was all right, and so did they and the rest of the church. The world didn't fall apart.
You didn't get the phone call from the bishop then?
Oh no. The bishop knew he would have known. I warned the communications officer of the diocese beforehand as to what was happening, and the bishop already knew I was chair of Naturist Fellowship, Christian Naturist Fellowship. That was all part of my job description as well. So in my job description that was signed off by the bishop, etc., being chair of the Christian Naturist Fellowship was included in there as part of my recognised tasks.
So since your ordination, you've obviously served in a number of parishes. Which one of those stands out the most for you, and why? And that excludes Fuerteventura.
That excludes Fuerteventura, does it? I wouldn't want to choose between them. I really wouldn't. Each of them has been very different, and enjoyed them in the variety. I think probably the one that makes the most impact is the one where you are an incumbent for the first time. So you're suddenly there in charge. So for that reason, St Edmunds Whalley Range stands out, because I was still learning on the job at that stage, contacting my training incumbent and saying, "I've just come across this, what do I do?" And he replies down the phone, "Oh, I've never come across that kind of thing before." So you just make it up as you go along, open to the Holy Spirit and general promptings.
Going back a question about one incident you'll always remember. I'm going to remind you of one about the last minute phone call you got to go to the crematorium
Oh, yes. Yes, I'd forgotten all about that one. No, that was while I was still a curate, and we were fairly near a couple of crematoriums in the area, and I was at home, phone rang, undertaker, we're at the crematorium and the minister hasn't turned up to take the service, can you come? So I said, okay, I'll be there in a couple of minutes. So it was 5-10 minutes down the road, and I hurtled round the corner, kind of grabbed hold of my robes and got out of the car, and as soon as the undertaker saw me, they started processing into the chapel. So I'm there putting my cassock and surplice and everything on, and walk serenely to the chapel thinking, I have no idea who this is. So I went to say a quiet prayer over the coffin and read the name off the brass plaque on the top, and then did the whole service off the cuff on a... Yes, the Lord was working mightily that day, because they all seemed to enjoy the funeral insofar as you do enjoy these things.
So how many years in total have you been a priest?
Oh, a priest, 39. Since ordination in 1982, June 2022 was 40 years.
So what's your abiding memory of the entire period? One memory from the whole period?
Not a clue on that one. There's no one abiding memory. I think it's just been very fulfilling and very exciting all the way through. Yes, there are ups and downs. You come across issues that need sorting out. Sometimes you feel as though you could pull your hair out. Church would be fine if it wasn't for the people. But obviously that's not the situation. No, it's been really good. Extremely fulfilling and rewarding in all kinds of ways. Just really having that sense of doing what you believe God wanted you to do, and working through that.
Now, a few weeks ago, you preached on reckless love.
Oh, reckless love, yes.
And I'm reminded of your reckless behaviour when you were suspended in the church.
Suspended, yes, from one of the roof beams.
Yes, I have a photograph, which we will introduce at this point, of you. I congratulate you on health and safety. You're wearing a safety helmet and a dark blue boiler suit.
Yes.
But I didn't see a man safe. And you're clinging onto a wooden beam that's bolted onto a scaffolding tower, and you're hanging above a worship band's instruments.
Yes, that was quite exciting. We did all kinds of exciting things as part of holiday Bible clubs. And one of them was a Bob the Builder one. So I was Bob, with Bob on the front of my yellow helmet and my boiler suit on, and we got into all kinds of antics to keep the kids amused and to deliver various kind of faith uplifting moments. But my uplifting moment was my assistant was Bill the Bodger. And Bill the Bodger was always doing things that caused issues. And there I was, at the top of the scaffolding tower, sorting out something with the beams of this very tall Victorian church. And Bill the Bodger comes in and says, who left this lot there? And it's one of these scaffolding towers on wheels. So just wheels the tower away, and then Bob's left suspended, hanging from the building. The clever bit was that you couldn't actually see the wire, because I had a climbing harness on underneath the boiler suit, to which there was a wire that went up the sleeve of the boiler suit, wrapped around the beam and fastened on. So I was actually... my arms weren't taking the weight, the beam was, so the health and safety was the state of the beam as to whether there was any dry rot in it or anything like that, but thankfully there wasn't.
But you also had an incident with the zip wire.
Oh, that wasn't me. I warned against it. We used pyrotechnics and all kinds of things in this. And the vicar of the parish, in which we were a team of ministers across different denominations working together, and his idea was he wanted to make a spectacular entrance. So the same said scaffolding tower was set up with a zip wire going to the front of the church from near the back of the church on top of from the scaffolding tower. And he was going to launch himself off the scaffolding tower on the zip wire over the top of the kids and arrive at the front in quite spectacular fashion. However, it was a little more spectacular than he anticipated. And once I'd set it up, we used climbing ropes and the said harnesses and things. So health and safety wise, that was all right. We'd done a test run with a dead weight and said that no, we cannot do this because it's not going to, whoever goes on it isn't going to get to the end before they hit the floor, because it was going to go like that. And we did another one. He said, you know what, no, he definitely needed to do that. So we tightened everything up, tested it again and said, if you put all your weight onto the pulley and just let go and it carries you, you'll be fine to the front. But he was a bit of a showman. So instead of just allowing the harness to take the weight on and just letting go and let it take him, he leapt off the tower. And the leaping off the tower meant that suddenly all the weight went down, part way down the wire. The whole thing went down and then catapulted him up, at which point he lost his grip, did a flip in the air and landed flat on his back on the stone floor, at which point we thought, he's dead, in front of all these kids in the Holiday Bible Club. Fortunately he wasn't. He leapt to his feet in being the showman that he was. Goodness knows what his bruises were like after that, but he was still alive.
Thank you, Bob.
Prayers of resurrection weren't needed.
Judy, our unofficial assistant chaplain. Life for you changes enormously as well. How on earth are you going to cope with having Bob around under your feet all day long?
Well, coming here to the island when I just finished working full-time and effectively taken early retirement, that was really the big shock, because suddenly we were then in the same place all day instead of working in different places. And though, as you'll have seen over the intervening years, the last time I retired, it didn't work out that well, really. So I'm looking forward to having another go. And I have to say, praying that Bob can adjust to being able to choose what he does with his days.
So you've been really, really busy in the last few months. Island hopping. From one island to another island and another island to another island, where you've been deputising in various chaplaincies. So, first of all, can you tell us which chaplaincies you've been to and what the highlights of those visits were?
Right. Well, my first Canarian expedition was actually a year long, in that from November 2017 to October 2018, I flew to La Palma once a month to preside at communion for the Anglican community there. I've also been to North Tenerife, which is at All Saints, Puerto de la Cruz, a number of times over the years during successive vacancies there. And then Lanzarote, of course, but mustn't forget Gran Canaria, been there once. And then Lanzarote, where I've recently spent a number of Sundays and taken and yes, and possibly might even have one more to come, another wedding blessing, again, during vacancies. So as you can see, I've done a lot of travelling, and as you can imagine, I've got a lot of memories. But the best bit, the highlight, is having made friends in these congregations all over the place and knowing that I'd be welcome back again any time. Miraculously, I don't seem to have blotted my copybook yet. So I've actually been advertising our island hopping holiday in November as appearing soon in a chaplaincy near you. as I hope that we'll be able to worship with the congregations that I've got to know well during the time that we're travelling.
Would you like to share with us how many Binter air miles you've built up over the years?
I do occasionally use them to benefit, any given chaplaincy. Currently, at the moment, just from the summer months, I've got 2,000 points. And I thought, oh, where am I going to fly for that?
I know you've got some holidays planned. Now you're both in retirement. And I think the first one is you're going to review the island hopping. And I know you did explain to me where you were going and from which islands to which island. And I have to confess I've forgotten. So would you like to just run us through the itinerary?
Yeah. Well, at the end of October, we set off on a 5-week driving tour by ferry, which will include Gran Canaria, Tenerife, La Gomera, and La Palma. In Tenerife, we're being joined by Bob's cousin Sue from Scotland, who many of you will know. She'll be with us for a couple of weeks while we go to La Gomera and then on to La Palma. Then we've got flights. I can tell you about next year. We've planned that already. We've got flights and a hotel stay booked in Madrid for the middle of May. Credits from the trip that we couldn't make at the end of June this year. And then from there, we fly on to the US to see our David and his wife, Kate, and then on to Canada to visit family. So then, of course, not only that though, that France will be in the mix somewhere, because Bob's brother and sister-in-law move back to France for another 2-year stint next month. So we'll be off to Lyon and environs.
Your oldest son, Johnny, has just relocated to your homeland, Canada. Now, I know he's only just landed, so I'm not expecting to hear everything's hunky-dory, but when are you visiting him, and have you had a chance to speak to him yet about him settling in?
Well, of course, he's jet-lagged and busy looking for work, but he's staying with friends of ours and being welcomed by family. He's off in a couple of weeks to spend Canadian Thanksgiving with one of my great nieces and her family's up in Edmonton. So he's in Calgary. Hopefully he'll settle in well and will be in his own place and thriving by the time we go over in late May.
Judy, you've been a bit of a trailblazer in the church. You were one of the, you were ordained originally as a deaconess, a term we don't use anymore, thank goodness. And then you were one of the first women, when the church finally made its mind up to go ahead with it, to be ordained as a priest. That was a very challenging time for you and for your cohort as well. So what were your highlights and lowlights?
Well, I spent 5 years as a deaconess after I finished my training, which was still a lay order, and they do still exist. And there are some women who feel called to that kind of ministry. And then I had 7 years as a deacon and watched the men who I had been licensed alongside progress rather more rapidly into priesthood. So it was quite a while. It was, of course, 1994 when I was finally ordained as priest. Highlights? Well, one is kind of a sidelight, almost, if you can call it that. It was the privilege and the excitement of being filmed and interviewed by Pam Rhodes for BBC's songs of praise program.
I don't think anyone can have failed to notice one group of women who've certainly been in the headlines this weekend because of the work that they do. Yesterday in Bristol, 32 women, over half of them mothers, were ordained the first women priests in the Church of England. Now here in Manchester, Judie Horrocks, who is both a mum and a deacon, will be ordained as a priest in April, an important vocation she's had for many years.
It's important because I believe that it's right. It says something very important about humanity and our equality before God, his love for us, his desire for each of us to develop to our full potential in him. I'm not sure what it is specifically that women will bring to the priesthood. I'm married to a priest, and I know that we're very different, but I'm not sure how much of that is to do with personality and individuality, rather than to do with masculine and feminine qualities. But having said that, I'm aware that who I am is shaped by being a woman, and by my experience too as a mother. I can remember when my eldest son was born, in the middle of the first night when we were still in hospital, waking up and looking at him there and being filled with the most incredible depth of love. And in that moment it was as if he was the most important person, the most important thing in the whole world. I guess for me that's become a kind of picture of God's love, that somehow for each of us he's got enough love to love us in that kind of way, and not just in a fleeting moment in the middle of the night, but in every moment. There are many patterns of family life around us, and I think if you actually look at the pages of the Bible, the Old Testament and the New, there's a rich diversity of family patterns there. I think to assume that family life means 2 parents and 2 or 3 children is actually a terrible mistake. I think the most important thing about Christian family life is that it's focused on God at the centre.
For years we could say Pam Rhodes sat on that settee. But we can't anymore, it's long gone. And that programme was transmitted on Mothering Sunday 1994, which was the day of the very first ordinations of women as priests in Bristol Cathedral. It happened. And then I took part in the live broadcast that day from Manchester Cathedral. And then, of course, my own ordination as a priest 6 weeks later, and then the next morning, standing in front of our own congregation at the altar for the first time. Definite highlights. Lowlights, again associated to that, being in the General Synod chamber as an elected member of the House of Clergy in London when the enabling legislation for women priests was passed, and feeling the pain of those who, in good conscience, were opposed to ordaining women as priests, and whom I knew would actually leave the Church of England because of, effectively, me and my female colleagues. And some of those people had become my friends over our time on Synod. And it felt like a great burden to bear.
So the church has moved. We've now seen female bishops. How long before we see a female archbishop? So where do you think the next big change that the Church of England needs to make?
Well, for me, careful reading and study of Scripture over the last 3 decades, really, has led me to the conclusion that the Church needs to welcome, recognise and validate the calling and ministry of those who are from the LGBTQI community. Now, I know this is another contentious subject. So, at one level, I'm reluctant to introduce it into this chat, but it's something that matters greatly to me and about which I feel strongly. And I'm convinced that this is the right way ahead, and that in time, like the ordination of women, it will come. And when it does, the life of the church will be richer for it.
Thank you, Judy. The good news is you're not leaving us entirely, because you've purchased this beautiful apartment in Puerteventura. I know you've both been working really hard here over the last few months, because it's changed enormously since I came in here a short while after you obtained the keys. So it's absolutely fabulous now compared to what it was some months ago. So what are your plans here, Bob?
Ooh, in what sense? Well, we've made it through all this without having a really almighty row, and with differences of opinions on how things should have happened. So everything, there has been a consensus about the colours and where things should go and where on earth are we going to put this.
I have to confess, I bought 4 cushions while he was in hospital.
No, there are certain things that I did make a take back to the shop. They're not going in my place. And we're still in the same place, so, that's fine.
So your 7 years here in Fuerteventura have been really hectic. You've achieved many, many things. You arrived in a firestorm, fully branded as Fuerte Church, and hit the ground running, to say the least. But looking back over that time, Bob, what do you consider your major achievements to be?
I think the whole thing is the way in which the church has actually grown together over that period of time, and the chaplaincy has been consolidated. Part of the thing is, when you're the first chaplain in a place, is creating the chaplaincy. Yes, a congregation already existed, and from its humble beginnings with the chaplain from Lanzarote coming over, and then Penny and Mike taking it on board after the chaplain wasn't coming anymore, that, there were a group of people who really carried it to the point at which a chaplain could be appointed. And then there are all kinds of official things you have to put in place, and kind of get all the bureaucracy sorted, make sure the right forms are filled in, etc., etc. That's one of the things that I will love leaving behind. Yes, the bureaucracy is all right. I can do it, but it's not what you really felt you were ordained for in the first place. Probably one of the most exciting bits was planting a new congregation, a new church in El Cotillo, and how that has actually matured over the years, and to see the way in which the two worshipping communities, yes, they worship in separate places, but they do come together throughout the rest of the life of the church, and sometimes drift between the two. So there's that wonderful sense of the chaplaincy of St. James worshipping in 2 different places at different times, and that's really been appreciated by the people in those different places.
And Judy, what were your highlights of this 7 years been?
Oh, I mean, that again is tricky. Again, just the privilege of sharing people's lives at significant points. People who've had, from within the congregation and outside, who've had to face illness, bereavement, and have had things to celebrate, and just being able to share in that, the kind of privilege of that, it's what you call pastoral ministry, has always been a highlight for me, wherever I've been. Yeah.
And Bob, regrets, things you didn't manage to achieve, that you were on your tick list, but you never got to tick them off?
I think had we not had COVID and Brexit happening as almost the perfect storm, we might have got to some of the things that were on the back burner. And I hope, kind of we'll move from the back burner in future. But that's for whoever takes on the next post as chaplain. One of them is actually establishing at least one more worshipping community elsewhere on the island, because the chaplaincy is Fuerteventura, not just the northern tip of Fuerteventura. I think you had thoughts.
Oh, my initial dream was to establish something down in Andia, Morahable. But the resources to do that, transport, and because we're so technology dependent, led, however one wants to phrase it, the cost of equipment to transport with you and the personnel, the congregation to kind of seed it. So no, that's unfulfilled. But who knows what the future holds?
So both of you have faced quite recently some enormous health challenges, particularly you, Judy. You've been through the mill. Tell us a little bit about your journey. Tell us about your recovery and what the current status is.
Actually, thanks for the opportunity to talk about it. Because as most of you know, I was diagnosed with fairly early stage breast cancer in April 2019, so about 3.5 years ago. And having worked in both cancer and hospice care as the leader of a chaplaincy team, and having had the privilege of being part of the multidisciplinary care team in those places, I was pretty savvy in theory. But a bit of online research turned up a journal article about breast cancer treatment in Spain that showed me that the care here was what in the trade we would have called gold standard. In other words, the best possible. And that was definitely my experience. Doctors, nurses, radiographers, everyone was absolutely fantastic. And after surgery and preventative chemotherapy and radiotherapy, I'm now just on medication for at least 5 years. And they keep a close eye on me. So I feel very safe, as well as extremely well and extremely grateful.
And Bob, you joined the club. Judy got a season ticket for one hospital, so you recently frightened the life out of
obviously felt I was being left out.
By joining her in hospital. You frightened a few of us. But what's the status now?
The status now is fine. As far as I'm aware, everything's ticking over fine. It was a passing infection, serious as it was. But the hospital again were incredible. They really came through.
And you're being regularly monitored as well.
Yeah.
So,
I'll be having another full-on checkup at some stage in the future and blood test as they do.
But there were some worrying moments within your first 48 hours in hospital. And I'm sure you were aware that there was a large number of people had you in their prayers.
Oh, I could, you could feel the prayers, almost literally. And that sense of even when all the signs were going in the wrong direction. And, I thought, actually this is it. And yet I wasn't afraid at all. And I've had that tremendous sense of God's presence, but also being supported by the prayers of so many people. And you could almost touch it. It was that real.
Yeah.
And then that was confirmed in pictures that the Lord gave me as part of the process of recovery, reassuring how he'd been with me every step of the way, and that interconnected web of prayer that was supporting me.
And Judy, then you were obviously the centre of prayers for a period of time. How did that support you?
Again, it was incredibly important to know that there were people praying, and also people who were there willing to do anything necessary practically. And I think that was true both times, when I was ill and being treated and when Bob was ill. I just knew that anything that I needed, folks were there.
Yeah, you just feel the incredible support of the family.
Yeah.
And that's when it really comes into its own. And it's almost something that we take for granted. We are part of God's family. But then the practical reality of that really comes online in situations like that.
So although you're now retired officially, you of course remain priests for the rest of your life. So how do you see your ministries developing in the years ahead?
I think the jury's out on that one. It's very much wait and see. Kind of any ministry that we might be engaged in on the island is only at the invitation of any future chaplain. But in the way that Judy, although, how did retirement work out for you with her calling to different islands and situations? There could be one or two trips around just to support other places and congregations.
And
I had heard, Bob, that you'd been having a look at the dioceses in Europe, locums needed page. So have you got any plans for disappearing?
No, I've definitely not been looking at those. That must have been Judy.
Well, I might have been praying that Iceland needs a locum chaplain.
That's a bit chilly.
Oh, I know, but it's just such an amazing place.
Just leave me in the hot springs.
So, a couple of last questions for you. What is your favourite hymn or worship song? Bob.
Thine be the glory.
And Judy?
Immortal, invisible, God only wise.
Excellent. And Bob, your favourite passage from the Bible?
That's a very hard one. My favourite books, if you can have favourite bits in the Bible, would be John's Gospel, but also John's letters. And so probably 1 John 4:16, not John 3:16, 1 John 4:16. God is love, and those who live in love live in God, and God in them.
And being me, my answer is a bit longer. And actually, it's an easy question for me to answer, because it's part of the passage that I would love to be read at my funeral. I have left instructions. And it's also important because it's something that I began to be meaningful to me when, first of all, my mum had Alzheimer's, and then Bob's dad had vascular dementia. And around that time as well, or soon after, I was working with patients with terminal brain tumours who were approaching the end of life. But this applies to all of us, and it's from 2 Corinthians chapter 4, and it's actually 3 verses, 16 to 18. So we do not lose heart, even though our outer nature is wasting away, our inner nature is being renewed day by day. For this slight momentary affliction is preparing us for an eternal weight of glory beyond all measure, because we look not at what can be seen, but at what cannot be seen. For what can be seen is temporary, but what cannot be seen is eternal.
So Bob, Judie, thank you so much for inviting me in to have this chat with you. It's been an absolute pleasure and delight to work alongside you over the last 5 years or so for me. It's good that you're not disappearing entirely, so it's not goodbye, it's merely farewell, because you're staying local, you'll be on the island, we'll still see you around and about. But thank you so much for everything that you've done for us as individuals, for Yvonne and myself, but also for the chaplaincy and for your friendship. And we just want to say thanks, enjoy your retirement, sit back, relax, and have some fun.
Notice the positioning of the chairs here, the fact that they're out of smiting distance for those moments when I happen to be slightly cheeky. But I can't pass.
Hello, Bob and Judy. You know, we waited a long time for a priest to come along, and when you did, well, it was like a corporation bus. 2 came along at once. However, we're old enough to remember when buses had a crew of 2. And the driver always thought he was in charge.
But oh no, he wasn't. We know different, Judy, don't we?
And that's that. So we all know where we stand. Now, it's time for us to move on. You get on the next bus and we look forward to seeing you on that journey. Take care and God bless. Love to you both. Bye.
Hi, Bob and Judy. Just to say that we've enjoyed our time with you. We'll be very sad when you go, and hopefully we'll get someone who can fill your shoes. Just a memory I have of when we did a man's aqua day, and Bob, you had the skimpiest pair of shorts on ever, and we did one of the exercises was where the noodle came up through your legs, and I remember Barbara calling out, "Bob, you didn't get that in those little skimpy shorts, did you?" Anyway, that's enough for now.
Oh, and me? No. I've forgotten everything I'm going to say about you, so I'll just leave it finished now. It's very, very nice to see you, and that's about it. So that's all I can do, because I forgot what I was going to say now.
Memories. Showing you Chaplaincy House and sharing in your thoughts, quite emotional at the time. Memories. Jeffrey Johnson offering you the position while we all sat there together. Again, very emotional. Memories, and this is the best one. Seeing the look on Jeffrey Johnson's face when you were licensed and did the actions and the song of the lighthouse. Memories. All those special moments that you'll recall over the years that meant a lot to you in your time in service on the island. Thank you. Lots of love to you both.
We're delighted to send you this message from Italy to Fuerte, wishing you all the very best. So sorry to miss the party. Now there'll be time for pastimes new. Maybe you'll start playing the guitar. All those things you never had time for, with travel to countries afar. Life's chapters open and close. Work is not an essential part. Waking up in the morning's the best bit, when you know you can follow your heart. Cheers, Judy and Bob. Enjoy it all.
Volare, oh, oh, cantare, oh, oh, nel blu dipinto di blu, felice di stare lassù. Volate, Bob e Judie, volate.
Hello, Bob and Judie. I'm not going to say goodbye because soon I hope to be saying hello to you. Just want to thank you so much for all you've done to carry Fuerte Church forward.
Hi, Bob and Judie. Really enjoyed our meetings. Thoroughly enjoyed your short sermons, Bob. I look forward to seeing you when I get to Fuerte. Bye.
Bye.
Wishing you all the best. Look forward to seeing you next year. And congratulations and have a good retirement.
Hi, Bob and Judie. Anne Riley from Leitrim here in Ireland. I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank you both for your wonderful support within the community of Fuerte Church, for that glorious presence you bring to the community, and for the acceptance of me just being who I am. So I hope you both have a wonderful retirement together with many, many years of really good health and much happiness together. Enjoy. Bye.
Bob and Judie, you lovely people, I want to thank you for all you've done faithfully to serve the chaplaincy in Fuerteventura. Here I am in Cornwall with the noise of the docks behind me and the ferry, and I want to share with you a sonnet I've written for you entitled Thank You So Much. To me, fair friends, you can never be old. Helpfully you showed us that God is true and taught us it's to God we should hold. Now thanks to you, we all listened and grew. Knowing your love for us gives us such joy. You, like us, enjoy swimming in the sea. Once start naked like an innocent boy, up and off home to Casa Bob for tea. So you are older than when we first met, open lives and spirits with sparkly eyes, much laughter and learning, we're in your debt. Unswerving you point to Jesus the prize. Cheers to you both, you did lead with great grace. Have the chance now to relax in your space. Bye from Cornwall. See you soon.
Hi Bob. Hi Judy. We're going to test you on the Disney princesses because do you remember that last year we told you all the Disney princesses? These are the ones you need to look up. Being such a great vicar, I'm going to show you a trick.
Bob, I'm so grateful that just before Mum died, she knew that you were going to come and be the chaplain in Fuerteventura, something that she had prayed, she and Bob had prayed and worked for a few years. I'm so grateful for that, and so was she. Thank you for everything that you've done, and do have a happy and well-earned retirement. Love to you both.
Hiya Bob, hiya Jodie. I'm sorry I can't be with you tonight, as circumstances are as they are. I know you're going to enjoy your retirement and you're going to wonder how you found time to work. See you later.
I'm probably there with you anyway. So yeah, it's been an enjoyable journey from first meeting you down in Coraleco and beer clubs and swimming in the sea in Puerto del Rosario and climbing up a big mountain, making me mountain climb. That was ridiculous, Bob. But we did it anyway, and the view was stunning. It's been a pleasure meeting you, working with you, knowing you, helping you, etc. And may that continue in your retirement. So have fun and don't work too hard or don't work at all. See you later.
Hi, here's an Irish blessing for you, Bob.
May you always have work for your hands to do. May your pockets hold always a coin or two. May the sun shine bright on your window pane. May the rainbow be certain to follow each rain. May the hand of a friend always be near you. And may God fill your hearts with gladness to cheer you. Many blessings, Bob, and thank you for all you've done for us.
We shall miss you. I shall miss you. Thank you for being our chaplain and for all that I've worked with you this last few years. And being prayer coordinator under you and knowing that you're always there as somebody to ask questions of. And to you, Judy, as well. Thank you and God bless you both.
Bye.
Bye-bye. We look forward to continuing our friendship.
Very warm greetings, Bob and Judy, from sunny Lancashire. Can't wait to see you in October. You both have been truly amazing, and all what you have achieved and grown at St James's since 2017. One of our fondest memories, besides watching the surfers on our balcony with you, was singing My Lighthouse at your licensing service. Our mutual friends Nick and Val send all their love and prayers for a truly idyllic retirement.
As you embark on the next adventure of your life, remember this. Happy moments, praise God. Difficult moments, seek God. Quiet moments, worship God. Painful moments, trust God. Every moment, thank God. Finally, congratulations on your retirement. All our love, and God's blessings.
Bye, Bob. Bye, Judy. Bye. Thank you for everything you've done. Bye.
It's been a pleasure to have met you and been associated with you. Vicar and Vicaress. Have a good retirement. Bye-bye.
Okay, and from me, I'd like to say have a great time on your retirement. You've been wonderful, and I would like to say a big thank you for the time that when Harry passed, how kind and generous you was, and how faithful you was, and looking after me, and with all the the whole family here. So, and I'd like to say just I love you both dearly. Thank you very, very much. God bless you both.
What a snowflake this is.
I hope they didn't hear that.
Hi, Bob and Judy. First of all, I just want to wish you all the best in the future. Thank you for putting up with us all. Safe travels.
Bob and Judy, thank you for all you did for us. One of the best things John and I did in the 20-odd years we've been coming to Cotillo was to pick up the free newspaper, read the ad for Fuerte Church, and go the following Sunday. You two won't remember this, but Judy greeted us at the door and was so friendly and so welcoming. And the sermon and the service that you gave, Bob, was terrific. So from that on, we've always gone. Every Sunday, you two give us a blessing at the end of the service. So today I'm going to read an Irish blessing for the pair of you two. It says, "May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. The rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you both in the palm of his hand."
Hi, Bob and Judy. Just wanted to say Thank you for all your hard work and for what you've done in building St James here in Fuerteventura. We wish you a long and happy retirement. And the good news, Bob, is that you can stay part of the Cotillo Boys Beer Club, now officially as a retiree.
Yes, thank you for all your hard work and for sticking it out when things got difficult for you too. We're really grateful for that. And I think you've put another meaning to the hidden guest at every meal after our Christmas lunch with Johnny online. All the best. We trust you have a wonderful retirement. Love you lots.
Hi Bob and Judy. Hello from Isla and a nice afternoon here. I hope you have a wonderful, long, happy retirement. Thank you for all your help and welcoming us to Coraleco. I hope that when you retire you'll have more time to travel. You might even get out to Isla here. That would be great. Have a great time. See you then. Bye.
I'm told it's now time to say goodbye to Bob and Judy. So, goodbye, Bob and Judy. It's been nice knowing you. I guess you're not going to disappear from our lives altogether. So we just look forward to seeing you when you get back from your island travels. You're not going to say anything?
We'll miss you.
Hi, Bob and Judy. Just to say how much we've really appreciated your ministry and your friendship in the few years that we've known you, and to wish you both a very happy and well-earned retirement.
Hi Judy, hi Bob. It's been great getting to know you since 2017. Thank you for all that you've done, particularly for being an ear to all the problems of building here and being a Chihuahua taxi service when required, and particularly for saving Christmas. All the best in the future.
Hi Bob and Judy. Hope you both have a relaxing retirement together. Bob, enjoy our joint hobbies of researching your family tree and of course eating Karamak. Thanks both for encouraging me into becoming a worship leader, an occasional secretary and lay vice chair here on this island. Viven mucho y prospera.
I hereby publish the banns of retirement between Robert James Horrocks, priest of the parish of Fuerteventura, and of Judith Ann Horrocks, formerly Slater, also priest of this parish. If any persons here present know of any cause or just impediment why these persons should not be joined together in a long, peaceful, rewarding and satisfying retirement, ye are to declare it now, or forever hold your peace. Bob and Judy, it has been a pleasure to work with you, and I'm amazed at the things you have achieved here. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace.
This is the SS Enterprise and its Captain's Log Stardate 24/9/22. We have spent some time now on this small planet called Fuerteventura. The natives are friendly and the air is breathable and the climate is very warm. Our officers, Bob and Judie Horrocks, have requested retirement so as to stay here on Fuerteventura. The Federation have agreed and thank them for their long and loyal service. And so we say, live long and prosper. And all it remains for us to do now is to go where no man has gone before. Beam us up, Scotty, and it's warp factor 9. Bye! Bye! Bye!